It just gives me more confidence, because he had to do some things to whatever he was it like I think it was like a diuretic. So maybe he had trouble making weight. So I mean, if he's having trouble making weight, it just gives me confidence. I don't know if he's not working as hard or what's going on, but honestly, I just he's obviously getting tested a lot more. So like I said, it just gives me confidence, and I'm ready to put it on him.
Mario, you return to the octagon February 19th against Khalid, Taha. This could be a do or die fight for him, man. What are your thoughts on the matchup and what are your thoughts on him and his skill set?
Yeah, I mean, was he on a 2-fight losing skid? So yeah, with that, I kind of expect him to come out, pretty hard. Like it might be his last chance. So I expect the best version of himself. And I think it's a great matchup. He's tough, never been finished in the UFC. Lost some close decisions, and stylistically, I think it's going to be it could be a pretty good fight. So I'm ready for it.
Yeah, I'm excited for this because I feel like you guys' styles mesh really well with each other. You know how you guys are very active and aggressive in your striking. Taha, he was suspended by USADA back in 2019 for like 13 months. What is your feelings about fighting a guy who has been popped for banned substances?
Uh, it just gives me more confidence, because he had to do some things to whatever he was it like I think it was like a diuretic. So maybe he had trouble making weight. So I mean, if he's having trouble making weight, it just gives me confidence. I don't know if he's not working as hard or what's going on, but honestly, I just he's obviously getting tested a lot more. So like I said, it just gives me confidence, and I'm ready to put it on him.
You think that's what it is with a lot of guys, at it's not even just at the highest level. You see it on the regional scene too sometimes where guys are taking something, but in the UFC they actually get caught for it. It's a lack of confidence in their skills. Is that what it is most of the time, you think?
Skills and maybe hard work. If it was a diuretic, I'm thinking maybe it's just like a hard weight cut. So maybe he just didn't want to diet, or didn't want to put in more conditioning. That's how I look at it. Um, and I don't know exactly what went on, but if you have to go to like those tactics to make weight, something is up. So and I don't have that problem, and I've never had any thoughts of like should I take this, to whatever it is. I just work harder, eat better, just do the right things, and and that's it.
And also, if he does miss weight, that's more money for you, right? So it's actually a bonus.
Yeah, and he might be like maybe on his like second contract or something, so I might get a little bit more money. And so I was thinking what would be pretty cool is like I don't want fight of the night,
Mhm.
but if we had fight of the night, I don't think he'd be eligible for that 50 bonus, so it would go to me.
Mhm.
And so maybe looking at 100 grand there, that'd be pretty cool.
Yeah, man. You never know what's gonna happen, man. You never know. So if it does work out that way, you'll be walking out of that event a rich man, a much richer
Yeah,
man. Um, but since his suspension, man, he hasn't won a fight. Have you watched his last two fights, and what did you think of his performances?
yeah, and it kind of shows, he's just been kind of grinded out, and I think that's probably where that hard work or the lack of hard work comes from. And that's very true. He's lost those decisions ever since then. And before, he had a knocked out, I think, Boston Salmon, submitted the guy from Fight Ready, I forgot his name, Bruno. And ever since he got popped, yeah, he just hasn't looked the same.
I wanted to jump back to your last fight against Trevin Jones. A lot of people felt that you were performing well until you got caught with that solid punch. What is your assessment of what transpired in that fight?
Oh, just exactly that. I was in shape. I was coming out of, it was physical therapy, but it turned into strength conditioning, and it was like the best shape I've ever been in. So I felt good. Um, and he has he knocked out someone right before me. I think I forget his name, Taliev, a Russian guy, and it was with a right hook. And so we were very aware of the right hook, but not the right uppercut. So yeah, it was just probably just the lack of, maybe I should have watched a little bit more video. But that was it, 4-ounce gloves, you make a little mistake, you get caught, and that was it. I love and appreciate this sport so much, and I understand like things like this will happen. So it didn't really, I didn't really dwell on it too much. It was a little sad for a couple days, but it is what it is, and things happen.
Yeah, it's really a, like they call other sports a game of inches, but really this is not a game of inches. Like there's dire consequences with those inches.
Yeah, and like I said, I felt good during that fight
Mm-hmm.
too. I was performing well. But yeah, you make a little mistake, you get caught, and that's it.
And you were supposed to come back last August, man, but you tested positive for COVID. How was that ordeal dealing with the coronavirus?
It was, so they told me about that fight 14 weeks in advance. So I was, oh, thank you guys. Not 2 weeks notice. I'm ready. 14 weeks. Let's go. And literally 3 weeks before that fight, I got COVID, and I had a bad night of sleep. So I stayed home, and then that following night just had like cold sweats and just did not sleep well. And I tested positive, and I was like, well, I have to take a test the following week to get on an airplane to head to Vegas. So I was like, I don't know if I'm going to pass it, but I'm going to try. And then the next 5 or 6 nights, the same symptoms, just no sleep, waking up probably every 2 hours, changing my shirt, laying down a towel. And it was pretty rough. So we just made the decision, coming off that loss, like it just wasn't a smart idea. So we had to back out of that fight, and it took a while for me to get rebooked, and here we are.
I'm glad you took the safe route because I've talked to fighters. They won't say it on record, but they've took fights or they continued their camp after they caught coronavirus and got out of their system, but they just didn't look the same in the fight. It still looked like there was some lasting effects.
Oh yeah. Well, I've had COVID twice. And the first one in August, that one was pretty rough. Like I didn't think it was gonna be that rough, to be honest. Like I already went a year and a half without catching anything, so I was pretty surprised. And then the second time around at the end of December, ended up getting it again, but it was just like a little cold. It seemed like, so it was a little different. So it's a weird thing, So, but I feel great, feel in shape, and we're getting close to the fight. So fingers crossed, man.
No doubt, no doubt. Between camps, man, you haven't fought in 11 months. So between camps, in between camps, did you get a chance to like focus on anything, try to add anything new to your regimen?
Oh yeah, especially when you have that much time off between fights. I would just do, for a month, I would really focus on my jujitsu or like gi jujitsu, or the next month just stand up and like trying to work on specific things that I could. When you have fights like back to back, you kind of don't have too much time to work on things. You just gotta, stay in condition and be ready for that next fight. So with this amount of time, I was able to work on a bunch of stuff. I got, you know, I got my brown belt before Trevin Jones fight, but I was coming off that surgery, so I still had plenty of time. So, little things like that.
That's great. That's great to hear. And in this camp, you've had a long camp for this one too, most likely. What I mean, it seems like a lot of guys fighting at the beginning of 2022, they've had notice from like November, December, so it's all good. Like for yourself, who have you been training with mostly for this upcoming fight?
For this fight, some of our younger guys. So who did I spar? Marcus McGee. I think he's like 3 or 4-0,
Mhm.
and super good stand-up guy. Uh, Talon Glasser, Kyler Phillips.
Mhm.
Um, who else? Oh, Bryce Meredith. He's a NCAA wrestling finalist.
Yeah, I've been
You know,
hearing his name a lot from your guys. A lot of guys
dude,
that you guys trained with at MMA Lab.
we're so lucky to have him. He's just a top level
Mhm.
wrestler. So having someone like him in our gym, oh man, it's awesome. And he's a 35er. We have
Mhm.
good wrestlers at our gym, but there's 70 pounders or
Yeah.
55ers. So you can't really work with them. You could learn from them, but you can't really work with them.
Mhm.
So having someone like Bryce there is we're lucky, and it's pretty cool.
Yeah, for sure. Maybe we might see you slam someone on their head soon. I don't know.
Oh, I wish. We'll see. We'll see what happens.
For sure. So, you got a lot of knowledge, accumulated, a lot of training that you've had. You went through a camp earlier this year or earlier last year. What do you see in yourself bouncing back in this performance?
Uh, you, pretty much the same thing. I like to grind. I'll always have that, and just just working on my stand up, and I don't know. I like to do crazy things like flying knees and stuff like that. So I've added a little tricks, little things here and there to go with the grindy nature that I have. So I'm excited to showcase what I've built this past few years. So
All right, a couple more questions outside the fight. MMA fans, they're the best, and then they could be the worst. I mean, you've been in the UFC for a while, so you've probably seen everything. What do MMA fans or just fans in general obsess about too much that fighters really don't care about?
uh, I don't know, probably messaging us. You know, they get a little bit crazy. I have a story. When I fought Sandhagen, I think when I was weighing in, a guy sent me a message saying, "You got this. I got your back. You deserve this win." Yada yada. And after the fight, I go back to the locker room and I check the message. Another one from the same guy, and he's he's like, "Boy, you suck. You need to go back to work." And I'm like, "Dang, you flipped really quick." So it's things like that. When if you talk crap online, we really don't care about it. So
For sure, man. I'm glad, man. I'm glad. Sometimes it does affect certain people. It all depends on your personality, most likely, right?
yeah, I think like early in my career, things like that probably would get to me. Just like, oh man, like they're saying this or like. But once you've done it a few times, it's whatever. You never see that person in real life anyway, and it's it's whatever.
PTSD in combat sports. You talked about it earlier. Like in your last fight, you were knocked out, but you got over it after a little time. Sometimes it lingers, right? It could last. What I mean, it could have lasting effects, injuries, bad weight cuts, losses, whatever, right? Do you feel like it exists, and have you gone through it before in your career and overcame it, or have you seen it in other people?
Well, in myself, what you know I've lost as an amateur, and that one, I was like a wreck for like a couple months. And with losses, I've always bounced back from losses from what I've learned for myself. Like I just work harder, and that's the thing. Like I just know that if I work hard, don't mind the losses, good things will come. So, and some people handle it differently. Some people are like kind of never the same afterwards, or I don't want to put this guy on blast, but like Cody Garbrandt, he just gets knocked out, tries to like be tough about it, and slug it out with the next guy, and the same thing happens over and over. So like I'm not, I don't believe I'm like that, and just trying to stay smart and you know just fight, and that's it, and good things will come.
All right, one last one. Kevin Lee, he got released by the UFC, got picked up by Eagle FC. Now he's getting paid in crypto. What are your thoughts on cryptocurrency, and would you ever consider being paid your full fight purse in crypto?
I don't know. I'm not too much into crypto. I kind of like the real cash. I like that. So yeah, I don't know. I think I would have to do a little bit more research into that crypto, and but like I said, I like the real cash. So we'll see. We'll see what I'm sure the future is going to be pretty weird. So eventually, I'll probably end up doing something like that, or we all will.
Yeah, yeah, you're right. The future is pretty weird, and eventually something's gonna happen, right? But anyways, before the future, February 19th, it's coming up. UFC Fight Night, Las Vegas. Thank you so much, Mario, for the time, man. Good luck on the fight and the rest of the camp.
Thank you, John. Thank you for having me.